Every time my wife gets into a car accident, she's like, it's not my fault. You know what? I believe her. I really do. That's why with her new car, I decided to go ahead and get a dash cam. I want one that records the front of the car. I want one that records the back of the car and that records inside the car. So it's 3 cameras. I want it to also record audio. This way, when she gets into her next accident, we can prove it to the insurance company that really just isn't her fault. And if it is her fault, I can prove it to my divorce attorney. Looking online, there's about 1,000 different options for dash cams, and I was getting a little frustrated, started asking around, talked to friends of mine. One of my friends actually recommended this Vantrue camera. He said he's gone through a bunch of them, and this is the one that he really, really likes. So this is not a sponsored video in any way. If Vantrue would like to send me a bag of cash, I will take it. As you guys know, I'm always gonna give you my 100% honest truth, whether they're sponsoring me or not. So let's go ahead and get this thing installed. We'll go over some of the features, and I'll give you my feedback. Before I do any kind of custom install, I always like to do a preliminary assessment and try to figure out, like where things are gonna get installed. This system looks like a pretty simple install, and this is your power source here. It plugs into your power outlet, formerly known as cigarette lighter. Ooh, money. That's coming home with me. Get right in there. Okay, here's the power outlet. I'm gonna run the wires down the center console, under the glove box, up the A-pillar, across the headliner, and where the camera's gonna mount. So now we got the front camera figured out. The rear camera, I'm gonna mount it right around this area. I'm gonna run the wires probably down through this harness here, through the headliner, and all the way up to the front of the car. All right, we're gonna start this install by installing the front camera first and kind of work our way from there. This is the mount for it, and this is the power source that comes in from the fuse, which we'll get to. And then when you turn it, it locks it to the windshield. And there's actually some pins here, and it just kind of slides into the camera, which is nice because if you want to remove the camera, you don't have to undo the suction cup from the windshield. And then once it's installed, you can actually rotate this interior camera to fine tune it to wherever you need it. I'm gonna start placing the camera. I know I want it in this area. I just don't want it too close to the mirror or too close to the headliner or behind the mirror. I wanna find, the right location. From the camera is 2 wires. One goes to the power supply, the other one goes to the rear camera. So I'm gonna run them together down over to the A-pillar. And I just kind of pull down on the headliner a little bit and just tuck the wires back in there. And if you're wondering, yes, they provide you plenty of wire to get to the back of the car. While I was doing the install, I thought it was important that I would show you the end of this cable. I don't know why though. Here's a better look of the cables installed on the front camera. This one on the side goes to the rear camera, and this one up here is your power source. You can see I just kind of got it run into the headliner there. Bonus, the camera system came with a little plastic pry tool, which I thought was really cool. This is very handy, especially when you're prying away little things like this. So behind this little cover is a screw that we're gonna need to get to. So I'm removing a T25 Torx, then we'll just kind of pop the A-pillar out of the way. Here's something that's really important. This is a curtain airbag, and it runs all the way over here. So you don't want to put the wire in front of this just in case there's an accident and it deploys. You don't want the wire to cause any issues. So you want the wire to go behind it. I'm gonna go ahead and run the power wire down along the factory harness, and I'm gonna hold it in place with some zip ties. And of course, you want to cut the zip tie at a 45-degree angle to make sure that the next person that comes in there will rip their hand open. From here, I'm running the wire to the back of the car. I'm trying to be as minimally invasive as possible. So I'm just trying to pry back, pull the rubber back and get the wire shoved into the edge of the headliner, and I kind of pop the B pillar out a little bit and run it through there and then along to the back of the car as well. Once I got to the area of the C pillar, this part was a little tricky, so I was just trying to figure it out, and ultimately I was able to sneak it through the headliner. I'm trying to figure out the placement of the rear camera. I don't want it to be in the middle of the glass because then it's interrupting my view anytime I look out the rear view mirror. I don't want it to be too high because there is a spoiler in the back of the car and I think it's going to get in the way. So I'm just going to try to test a couple spots here and then put it in the right position. Now it does have a camera that you can rotate, which is really nice because once it's installed, you can kind of rotate it to get to the right angle. As you can see, the back glass has a very sharp angle coming down, so I do have to adjust the angle of the camera a few times to get it right. Now that we found the camera placement, there's two ways you can run the wire to the camera. One, you can just kind of jump over the seal, the back hatch, and then plug it in. And that's the easy way to do it. Like I said before, I like to have clean installs. I like to see as little wire as possible. So that's why we're gonna run it up through the harness and out to the camera. Now here's what it looks like if I were to close the hatch with the wire plugged in, just kind of jumping over the seal and over the glass. It actually isn't that bad. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You just got to make sure you have enough wire loom that it doesn't get caught anytime you open or close the hatch. Now that you saw the easy way to install that rear camera harness, we're going to do it this stealth way, the way I want to do it, which is through the hatch harness. I start by releasing the hatch trim just to get access. I don't want to remove it completely, so I just kind of work, around it. Getting this wire through this harness is actually a little bit trickier than I expected, so I'm going to use a zip tie. I'm going to run it through, pull it out the other side. I'm going to tape tape the wire, the end of the wire, to the zip tie. We're going to make sure that there's enough tape so it doesn't get hung up, and then we're going to pull it through. Of course, it doesn't pull through as easily as I wanted to, so I worked it a little bit, got some silicone spray, sprayed it in there, and bam, there we go. It came right out. A little bit of lube goes a long way. Now I got to try to fish it up through the hatch body, and it is just tricky. I keep fighting it, I'm trying to form the wire so it'll maintain the shape that's required to get it through that hole. And it gets so close. I'm having a hard time, but I use a pair of needle nose pliers, and with the right combination, I'm able to get the wire all the way through. I pull out enough wire that I think I'm gonna need, and I actually had a little bit too much wire here, so I just took the excess wire and just kind of shoved it back into the headliner. All right, now I'm gonna get it all back together, snap in the trim pieces, do my final check over, make sure everything looks good, and that's so perfect, looks really nice. Now that we got the cameras installed, let's go ahead and get the power source connected so we can get this baby going. I know I talked about using the cigarette lighter as a power source for the camera system, but this will absolutely drive me crazy. I like a nice clean install, so usually I'll cut the wires and I'll find a power source. However, Vantrue offers a hardwire kit, which is going to save me a lot of time on the install. It doesn't come with it, but it's only like 20 bucks to get it. All right, so basically what this kit does, it has 12 volts that comes in, translates it to 5 volts, and then sends it out to the camera. And it's getting its 12 volts from a power source, and they make it easy for you. They give you all these different fuse options. So basically you'll pull your fuse out, you'll plug this in, you'll put your fuse back into here. That's the male end, here's the female end, plug it in, find a ground on the car. Really, really simple. In this book, it's pretty nice. They give you a little diagram and it tells you, which each fuse is, the name of each fuse, where you're gonna find it, that kind of thing. It also tells you, you're gonna need a circuit tester, DVOM, or something like that to find which fuse. It's obviously telling you where you can find your fuse panel and all that stuff. And you wanna use a fuse. I would not use the SRS. I wouldn't use fuel pump. I wouldn't use the alternator. I wouldn't use anything like that. I would probably use maybe the power window fuse. If you can find the power outlet fuse or cigarette lighter fuse, that's the one that I would use. On the passenger side of the dash, at the very end, we have 2 rows of fuses. So I look in the owner's manual, we got 2 rows right here, row A and row B. So let's go down row A and find something. No, nah. All right, steering column adjustment. That very rarely gets used. So we're gonna use that. So it says it's fuse number 5. We look up here, it looks like the fuses are counted 1 through, starts at the bottom and works our way up. So fuse number 5 will start at the bottom. Let's take off this little plastic guard. We're gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's this 15 amp fuse. Let's go ahead and take that little guy out. All right, the fuse that we removed is an ATO type. So remember I was telling you each different types of fuses. That's this one right here. So we're gonna go ahead and take this fuse kit and we're gonna go ahead and install it in the car. Okay, so we're gonna plug our 15 amp fuse in here, the one that we took out. And let's go ahead and stick this in here. One thing I don't like about this is I'm not gonna be able to retain, the plastic cover again, so I'll have to just do something with that. And I don't know if the cover will fit over this. I guess we'll find out here in just a second. Let's test fit that. These kits, these are really nice. I usually just hardwire everything in, but I do like the simplicity of it. Let's just see if it'll fit in there. Oh, actually it fits pretty nice. Okay, and I think it's so close it actually will keep it from popping out too. I've worked on a lot of cars in my career, and one thing that really bothers me is when you look behind the dash and you see wires just shoved in there. So I want to make this a nice and clean install. All right, this ground is not going to work. So this post is way too wide to fit into here. And even if I open this up with some pliers or something, the flange on that nut is way too wide and it would smash here instead of here, which may not give us a good ground. So I got to look for another ground source. All right, so it looks like we found a ground right here. I just have to separate these wires because I can't pull that down and then get this all the way up here at the same time. So I'm gonna undo this, give me some more room, and then pull some of the sheathing back. To be completely honest with you guys, I'm trying to be very careful separating the sheathing on this. It's not just slipped over, it's almost like it's molded in. So I wish this kit would make that a lot easier, or at least give you some longer leads. So far, I've liked everything about the install for the exception of this, and in doing so, I nicked the wire here. So I'm gonna have to wrap that in electrical tape. That should be fine, but that's a little annoying. As I wrap up this install, I'm going to put this camera to use, show you the video quality, we're going to listen to the audio quality, and then I'm going to tell you what I like about this dash cam system and what I don't like about it. Let's go ahead and test the audio. I'm talking in normal voice. If there are other people in the car, this is the way I'd be talking to them. I'm traveling 40-ish miles per hour right now, so you might hear a little bit of road noise. Air conditioning fan speed is, setting 2. Let's switch over to nighttime driving. You guys saw the video quality looked pretty good during the day, so at night, here it is. Now it is looking through the glass, through the windshield, and through the back window. And actually, it's not too bad. Pretty much what you see, it's like a normal night. You got your headlights that you can see with those. You can see the car coming up behind you. The point of the dash cam is if you get into an accident or something happens, you'll be able to see it. And I think, that's pretty clear. You see the car there and passing in front. I think it looks good. Okay, it's been almost a year since I installed this camera kit, technically 11 months. But why did I wait so long? Not because I've been really busy and I haven't had time to finish this video. No, that's not it at all. No, I wanted to give it a longevity test to make sure if there's anything that happens during that time that I can show you guys. And actually something did happen, which we'll get to in just a second. I want to give you what I like about this camera and what I don't like about it. Let's talk about the things I like about it. Starting with the install. The install was super easy. I like that they gave you that little wedge tool. I like that the suction cup sticks right to the windshield. It doesn't, jiggle around. We've never had a problem with it falling off. The video quality is pretty good. Audio quality, not too bad either. And that's for all 3 cameras. In fact, I love the fact that it has all 3 cameras. I like that you can see me right now. I like that when we're driving, we can see everything that's happening inside. We can see what's happening in front of us and behind us. So no matter the situation, we'll probably be able to get it on camera. I also like that it has a continuous video loop, meaning you'll never have to pull the camera card out to delete it and then put it back in, or you don't have to go in and delete it. It'll just record over the last footage, which could, depending on the card, be several hours. So let's say you're on a road trip, you get into an accident, fender bender, you can just stop the recording, pull the card out, and now you have that footage. Now, let's talk about the things I don't like about this camera. Starting with the price. I think it's a little expensive for what you're getting. Now, sometimes you can find it on sale and then it's a good price. I'm gonna put the link in the description. If it's on sale, when you guys click on it, great. If not, sorry. Now, it did not come with the hardware kit. I thought that was really annoying. It's something I discovered after I got the kit, so I had to go and buy it separately. Another thing I don't like is the hardware kit, the power and ground leads, they just don't separate far enough. I'd like it to be able to separate much further so you can, have a better, more flexibility during the install. Otherwise, you got to cut the sheathing like I did, and I really didn't like that. Another thing I don't like about the camera, there's no Bluetooth or Wi-Fi option to connect to my phone. If it had that, it'd be really nice because I could just get the footage right off my phone. Instead, I got to pull the card out, load it, get it off a computer. It's kind of annoying. Another thing is it doesn't have an internal battery. So unless you have it powered all the time, so if you're parked in a parking lot and something happens to your car, you'll never get the footage unless it's powered from a source all the time. And I don't recommend doing that because it's constantly drawing off your battery of your vehicle. If it had an internal battery that would record while you were parked, that would be really nice, but it doesn't. Another thing, if you're wearing glasses that are polarized and you look over and you want to see what the screen is showing you, you won't see it. In the last 11 months, this has happened maybe 4 times. We get a message on the screen. It stops recording and you can't do anything. It's just an orange menu, and I think it says something about reformatting the card. So you have to reformat the card, which means you lose all of your previous recordings. So if there was something on there you needed, you've lost it. And that is pretty annoying. If there's other dash cams that you guys think are really nice, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching.